This episode, we're going to be talking about two of my favourite reading strategies. Now, if Miss Smith was here, she'd probably say something like, "Mr. Hill, that's really sad having favourite reading strategies." But luckily, she's not. She's in a meeting, so you just stuck with me for today. So first, let's have a look at the top tips. Have a read. So we're having a look at summary and synthesis today. These are two very similar reading strategies that you will see in your exam. In a summary, you will be asked to write out a text or write out the key points of a text in your own words. We recommend that you highlight the key points first and that you keep it brief. A synthesis is like doing 2 or 3 summaries at once. You'll be asked to write out the key points from a number of texts. It will tell you which texts to write them out from and bring them together in one piece of writing. You need to be precise and comment on what each text says, but not necessarily how it says it. Okay, here we go. But just before we get started, Ms. Smith has just arrived.
Do you like my green hand?
I love the green hand, it's brilliant. Okay, so anyway, we're going to get back onto summary and synthesis. So let's start off with the summary question. Here's our summary question. Make sure that you highlight the key points. So it might ask you to summarise more or less than 5. So make sure you know how many points you need to summarise. And make sure you know precisely what the question is asking you to summarise. So this question here is asking for 5 main reasons why iPods are causing damage to young people and teenagers' hearing. Sorry, not young people, it's teenagers. So here's the text. Why don't you pause the screen for a couple of minutes and just see what you think the 5 main points are? Do that now. Here's one I prepared earlier. I've highlighted 5 points and marked where these are on the sheet. Miss Smith, would you like to say something?
Well, whilst Mr. Hill has been talking to you about his favourite reading strategies, I bet he told you that, I've just been writing out the answer. So I'm quite happy that I have the 5 reasons there that why iPods are causing damage to teenagers' hearing. I've put them in my own words as far as possible, and I've made them brief. Will I get 5 marks, sir?
I think so, definitely. Why don't you check your answer?
So let's move on to synthesis. And here we have some top tips for you. We want you to answer the question in front of you. That might sound a really stupid piece of advice, but it's extremely important. Highlight the key words in terms of what you are required to do and what you are required to find. You need to track through the whole text and you need to use your own words. Demonstrate you've processed the information. That sounds a lot like summary, but look at this final point. It says, name each text. You cannot get any marks if the examiner doesn't know which text you're talking about. Even if they could guess, you must name them.
Just to jump in here, Miss Smith, we have got a little typo on there.
I knew you'd see that.
Apologies, I think we should fire whoever wrote that.
It's a proofreading task, obviously.
Okay, and we passed. There we go.
So synthesis, if you're looking at 2 texts, it's like 2 mini summaries. So we're going to go through this quite quickly. Here's our question. Both text E and F are about noise. What do the writers suggest people should do to resolve noise issues? You can see there's quite a bit of messy crossing out there, and that's because we've been told by the exam board that they won't be asking us how they present their arguments in the exam.
Yes, this sort of skill is going to be asked in a question that we would recommend you use EE. Don't worry about that right now. This is just about the synthesis question.
Look at the writing in bold. This is so important. You have to name those texts.
I'll just highlight our keywords. So both texts E and F. So now we know where we're getting the information from. It's going to be texts E and F. And What do the writers suggest people should do to resolve noise issues? Okay, I think that's probably the key part there. Okay, it's about what we can do to resolve noise issues. Okay, Miss Smith?
Perfect. Here's text D. You might wish to pause it whilst you have a read through.
Yes, try and see what you think the main points are.
So here's what we've got. You can see that he thinks people should lower their voices after 9 in the evening. Shops shouldn't play Christmas carols. Hotels shouldn't have music in their restaurants. And neighbours should sweep up their leaves instead of using, I don't know what those are called, Mr. Hill.
Leaf blowers.
Leaf blowers, thank you. And also, you shouldn't eat noisily in front of colleagues. And finally, maybe we should install noise meters in hotel corridors.
See, I would agree. I think you should not eat noisily near me, miss.
How dare you?
Now have a look at text F. Let's find the key points. What does the writer suggest that people should do to resolve noise issues? Pause the video. Here's what we've got. Did you panic?
I think that sometimes you do panic if you read a whole paragraph like this one at the top and you're not highlighting anything. You start to worry you've got the question wrong, but just keep strong and keep keeping on.
And now you're ready to start writing. Good luck.